Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on this Sunday night. Hope your weekend went smooth. We had a banger of a weekend. Now, I say that just now remembering that the Nashville Predators season came to a screeching and very, very disappointing halt on Friday night while we were having a good time doing the install live with Greg Cosell and Ray Carthon. So I imagine that many of you are a bit salty about the way that the hockey team's first round playoff series came to a close, but it's okay. We're going to help you forget about that because this is not a Pred show. This is Titans news and information, and it's time to take a look around at what this particular team needs to address in the post-draft free agency. Had an hour with Rand Carthon and Greg Cosell over the weekend. You're going to hear that or see that, and both, depending on how you consume the Install podcast. That you'll get on Wednesday in your podcast feeds or on the 104.5 The Zone YouTube channel, which if you've not already subscribed to, you need to do that because we're going to have all kinds of great information. It's basically going to carry us through the summer. How much good information we got out of both Greg and Rand in the 3-hour live show that we did. But in the interim, we're going to talk about the position groups the Titans are targeting most in the post-draft free agency and get into the way that we would stack their needs and how we would prioritize them heading into the next couple of months. Rookie minicamp is this week, so all the new players are going to be in the house. Of course, the undrafted rookies as well. I'm sure they'll put out a list here in the next couple of days, and we'll get that confirmed so we can talk about these players more in depth, wrap things up with a Sunday Funday because that's what we do around here. So let's go ahead and get it started. Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time from the Zen Sports Studios. I'm your host, Buck Rising. If you're new, welcome. We're happy to have you. And I'm proud, as always, to be presented to you by Zen Sports. Promo code ATOZTN gets you up to $100 on your no danger first wager. Zen Sports is there for you. Betting just got better with Zen Sportsbook. Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer, also the presenting sponsor of the live show. We appreciate them and the people who gave $1,000 to Leukemia and Lymphoma Society over the weekend. Two Rivers Ford, always working hard for the customer and for the community. We very much appreciate our friends at Two Rivers Ford. We always appreciate the TrueMav Fitness workouts that you can get because they're the best workouts in Middle Tennessee. In fact, they're even better because your first workout is free when you go as a Middle Tennessee resident to TrueMavFitness.com for more information. We've now cycled into the post-draft free agency process, and we've seen already a number of players start to be signed. We've seen players visit, for example, the Tennessee Titans. As a matter of fact, like Tyler Boyd, who I'm sure will come up as a part of this discussion. And with all the different free agents and how they've been signed by position, it's been pretty interesting to see where the runs have been and how it kind of impacted or kind of told us some things that we needed to know about the upcoming, or I guess it's already concluded, the NFL draft that concluded last week, and all the different needs, all the different strengths and weaknesses for these particular teams and how they viewed both the free agent pool and the upcoming crop of talent that was going to be able to be drafted. So as we look at these available free agents at this point and kind of see where our priorities for the Titans would stack up, I think there's a couple of different places that we can start with, in particular the unrestricted free agents and how they make the most sense or who might make the most sense given the Titans and how many team needs that they still have. So the question that we'll ask you on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch in the comment section is this: as you look at the Titans free agent needs, what players would you prioritize most in free agency at this point? In the comments on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, which players would you prioritize most in free agency for the Tennessee Titans? We'll talk about the position groups and how we would prioritize them here in just a second, but specific players, who are you looking at? Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch is where you can submit your answers. And while you do that, I will remind you that the Primetime program is presented by Two Rivers Ford. Quality American-made Ford vehicles and award-winning customer service is what they offer. Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet, the South's most trusted Ford dealer for a reason, because over 1 million people have shopped with Two Rivers Ford over the course of 40 years, and they have experienced the quality American-made Ford vehicles and award-winning customer service that only Two Rivers Ford can offer. Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com. So, looking at the Titans and the roster construction after the draft, we're not going to count the UDFAs, even though there's a ton of reports out there. Until they're official, it's just kind of, it's a bit of a scramble. So we'll work our way through the UDFAs when that is made official by the team. But what should be at the top of the Titans priority list post-draft? Titans had 7 draft picks, 5 on defense, 2 on offense. So J.C. Latham, Tavondre Sweat, you get Cedric Gray, the linebacker, the off-ball linebacker, in the 4th round because you don't have a 3rd-round pick. You go then with Jarvis Brownlee Jr., the corner, out of Louisville in the 5th round, Jaquan Jackson, the slot receiver in the 6th round, and then 2 more defenders in Jalen Harrell. Well, first James Williams, the Miami safety turned linebacker, and then Jalen Harrell, the edge rusher out of Michigan. So with that added into the players that you already have on the roster, the players that you've acquired in free agency, how do you see the priorities stacking up, and what should be at the top of the Titans priority list post-draft? I think there's a couple of different places that you can look. There's one glaring, obvious one that we'll talk about here in just a second, because Jeremy Fowler of ESPN, who's done some good reporting, always does some good reporting throughout the course of the NFL year and offseason and free agency cycle. He's very tied in. He was on with Ramon, Kayla, and Will on 104.5 The Zone last week, and they talked about the availability on the safety market.
Where?
ESPN senior NFL reporter Jeremy Fowler joining us, RK Dubs. Speaking of Justin Simmons, we've been talking a lot about, okay, when are they going to sign, the safety here? Because obviously the depth there, they need something. And there was hints that they were going to wait till free agency after the draft. Who do you feel like would be a fit here, Jeremy?
Yeah, there are a lot of good ones out there. Marcus May is a name I still have in my back pocket because I know they met with him early in the offseason. I do sense that there was a lot of mutual interest there. Nothing really came together, but that doesn't mean it can't now. So he'd be a good fit. And, a lot of these safeties wouldn't be overly costly at this stage. I mentioned Justin Simmons, maybe Quandre Diggs. Those are players that I could see waiting for the right number. But there's a lot of talent out there still at that position, and it kind of got watered down in March because he had so many players cut, so many good players available that there wasn't a lot of money for those players. But, if you're Justin Simmons, he's probably going to wait. That's one player that will have to get the right number. But Marcus May is one I could see shaken out just because of the interest already shown there. And I'm sure he has options, though, elsewhere.
So that's Jeremy Fowler of ESPN on with Ramon, Kayla, and Will last week. You can check out that full interview via their podcast. You can also, I'm sure it's posted as an individual interview on the 104.5 The Zone YouTube channel, where you can also get the 3-hour live show with Greg Cosell and Rand Carthon later this week. So he's talking there about Marcus May, who previously visited with the Titans. Titans were expected to show significant interest in Justin Simmons. Sounds like that's going to be a bit more of a stretch, though there continues to be mutual interest between the Titans and Marcus May. So the safety depth chart right now for the Titans is pretty tenuous. It's not like their secondary, you feel pretty good about it, right? After they go through all the different transactions with L'Jarius Sneed and Cheeto Awuzie, and they already have Roger McCreary and Amani Hooker under contract, you feel much better about what they've done, but you're still looking at the safety depth and saying, oh, man, I don't know if this is going to be viable besides Amani Hooker, because for the most part, it's Elijah Molden, who's not really a safety, not really a corner, though he did show some ability to play in the nickel in his rookie year. For the most part, it's pretty barren before you get into some names that most of you would probably not recognize, but did play a couple of snaps for you last year. Eric Garrer is not going to play safety. He's a corner. Anthony Kendall is primarily a special teams player. Matt Jackson played some safety for the Titans last year. He's technically still under contract. And Shai Carter, who was a UDFA, did play multiple positions for them. But ideally, you'd like to fortify that with some veteran safety depth. So safety is what is at the top of the priority list, though I could make the argument for wide receiver. Something that was pointed out to me the other day, and I honestly can't remember who pointed it out to me because I would want to attribute proper credit to them. But the idea that you go back and look at the Cincinnati Bengals depth chart while Brian Callahan was the offensive coordinator there, and how many wide receivers they carried on the roster versus this particular team, which usually wanders into the season with 5 or 6 on the active roster, on the 53-man roster, with a couple of spare parts on practice squad. The Bengals have put together rosters that have 9 and 10 wide receivers in the regular season on a consistent basis, which makes me think that Tyler Boyd should is very, very much, and I know that he's very, very much still in play for this particular team, despite leaving the Titans visit without a contract. I very much expect them to continue to be in the market for Tyler Boyd, and I would say that if wide receivers or skill position players, you wanted a little more bang for your buck out of the draft class than Jaquan Jackson, I think that they could really, really make you feel better about this situation, or even make you give you a level of competitiveness that I really did not have an expectation for out of the 2024 Tennessee Titans. If they put together a starting 3 wide receiver set of Tyler Boyd, Calvin Ridley, and DeAndre Hopkins, Boyd in the slot and the 2 others outside, or, you can use them as versatile pieces. Boyd doesn't have to always play in the slot, but still, just your 11 personnel starting group looks like that. I think that this is basically, it's not basically, it becomes Bengals South right away with the kind of offense that they're going to run, how much more they're going to throw the ball, how much more 11 personnel they're going to run, and how much more the two running backs, Spears and Pollard, are going to be involved in the passing game, just because you're going to have a lot of different ways that you can attack a defense. And then you feel so much better about your wide receiver depth. So would not rule out Tyler Boyd. I would consider that as big a priority given this coaching staff's interest in playmakers, in scoring, and creating touchdown opportunities. I would say that you should very much expect Tyler Boyd to be prioritized just as much as the safety market. So how would you rank then the Titans' needs? Safety, pass rusher, or offensive line? Maybe you go pass rush, offensive line, safety. You can stack them however you want to. We're going to talk about it together. You'll hear some more information on how the Titans might be approaching it from Jeremy Fowler here in just a second, right after I remind you that the Primetime program is presented by Zen Sports, where betting just got better. Zen Sports is here for you to make sure that you can get in on all the action with that promo code ATOZTN. It is the best place for you to get all the best odds boost and promo bets. And like I said, up to $100 on that no danger first wager, because if your first bet loses, you'll be reimbursed for the amount of your bet up to $100. They also have the VIP program that is by invite only, so that if you feel your Zen Sports play qualifies for VIP consideration, you can check that out at zensports.com/VIP, where you can earn monthly comps at sporting events, concerts, you name it, even sportsbook bonuses. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line, 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions do apply. No danger wager, limited to plus 500 odds to qualify. Boosted odds are derived from equivalent parlay bets offered in Tennessee. Must be 21 plus and in Tennessee to bet at Zen Sports. So how would you stack them? Safety, pass rusher, offensive line. Offensive line, safety, pass rusher, safety, O-line. How would you look at the Titans' particular needs? There's a lot of different ways that you can break this down. And, the answer is they're all almost of equal importance at this point, given the priority that is, of course, placed on offensive line and pass rush. Safety, you can get away with a little more if you've got the necessary parts in front of the safety position. This team still has a lot of question marks, despite making moves to address them both in offseason, both in free agency and in the draft class. Rand talked about this after they made the draft picks a little more than a week ago today, about 8 days ago. Rand Carthon and Anthony Robinson were sitting in front of us talking about this draft class, providing them with immediate starters.
I feel really good about the draft class and what these guys are going to be able to come in and do. I think we have some guys that are come in and compete to start, And I think we have some guys that'll come in and compete for spots and, make us a team with some depth and, know there's still some holes to fill, and we're going to get to it. Left some open roster spots instead of filling it up with, just all college free agents. We want to be able to have some flexibility to sign some vets and not have to just cut people. But looking forward to it.
Flexibility to sign some vets is what Rand Carthon is talking about there. So when Jeremy Fowler was on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, he also talked about where the Titans might be prioritizing that veteran free agent help.
ESPN's Jeremy Fowler is our guest at JFowlerESPN, where you find him on Twitter. Jeremy, as you look at this Titans roster, still in need at pass rush, and the Titans only address edge rusher in the 7th round with Michigan's Jalen Harrell. Do you expect them to be active in looking for an edge rusher with some still available there in free agency?
Potentially. I hadn't heard that concretely. I'd heard more of a receiver, maybe an extra offensive line piece. I thought they addressed that, in the draft, or a safety. Edge rusher, you got a couple guys still out there. Bud Dupree was there a couple years ago. Maybe that makes sense to bring him back, although that was more of a past regime decision. A lot of times the new GM will want to get their own guys in there. But there's at least some familiarity there, and I could expect him to sign maybe in the next week or two. And, certainly it's an option for them.
Jeremy.
So that is Jeremy Fowler speaking. I don't think there's a good chance that Bud Dupree ends up back here in Tennessee, but you heard him say wide receiver first and then potentially another offensive line piece as well. That lines up with the logic for the coaching staff, with the way that the front office has gone about prioritizing needs, continuing to take visits. And as you'll hear from Rand Carthon when you get to hear Friday's live show, when we put it out on YouTube and podcast on Wednesday, the man himself said you can never have enough wide receivers. And I'm certain we'll play a lot of clips coming out of the live show because there was a lot of good nuggets throughout the course of that 3-hour broadcast. Let's wrap things up with a little Sunday Fun Day. Speaking of that particular live show, we've got a preview for you guys to experience, one that Bert is, unfortunately, a very big part of because he stole the show from me. He absolutely did, with the best bit that we had planned at any point throughout the course of the live 3 hours, and we'll get to that here in just a second. Right after the question, of course, is what's the best thing that you saw on the internet this Sunday or in sports this Sunday? We'll talk about it together right after I remind you that the Primetime program is presented by TrueMath Fitness in the Gulch. Go to your first workout free at TrueMath Fitness and experience life-changing results. Not right away. I can't promise you that you're going to get life-changing results out of one workout, but I can promise you that you will be thinking about your fitness and your fitness goals differently as soon as you experience all that TrueMath has to offer. And you can experience it for free, which is the best part. Your first workout is free at TrueMathFitness.com, whether it's group fitness classes, personal training, or just a membership to allow you to use their facility whenever you please. TrueMath is top tier, top notch, and they will get you in that mode to be able to accomplish whatever your fitness goals might be. Health related, weight loss, physically toning yourself. If you feel like you're already in good shape, they will push you to reach your fitness goals to a new level. But the beauty of TrueMath is that it's always for fitness levels, all kinds of fitness levels, so you will not be intimidated or overexerted when you go in and visit them for the first time. TrueMathFitness.com for more information. Your first workout is free. So what's the best thing that you saw in sports on this Sunday? This was from Friday, but, the hype video, the promo, the teaser that we put out for those of you who are going to be able to watch the live show on Wednesday, I thought was pretty damn cool. Rand Carthon, Greg Cosell of NFL Films, hanging out on stage, talking shop, talking Titans free agency in a way that you cannot get in any other NFL market. A general manager up on stage doing a live podcast for 300 plus of you who were in the audience at the Analog in the Hutton Hotel. It was awesome. They were great to us. Really appreciate everybody's help. The 104.5 The Zone crew was kick-ass. Even got some contributions from people like Bert from Slay. Dawn was in attendance. We had Brad Hopkins and Blaine Bishop all hanging out, taking in the sights and sounds. We had our friend Teron Davenport from ESPN stop by. TD was looking fly as all hell He wasn't going to be outdone by anybody on stage, and certainly that was the case. But just to get you ready for what you can expect on Wednesday, this is courtesy of Justin Hawkins, who put this together at 104.5 The Zone on Instagram.
Someone pour me up a double shot of whiskey. They know me and Jack Daniels got a history. There's a party downtown near 5th Street. Everybody at the bar